in Hindi every Saturday. And we also have, by the way, specials that we do in colleges, and we do it in many places wherever we get a chance to. We're very happy to spread the world of facts. And it's just very interesting how a concept like this, which actually doesn't require you to read any books or read newspapers or anything of that sort. It just, two things are very important to really crack this quiz. One is counter your biases, perceptions that you have. And the second thing is just be a little more observant of life around you. If you just do these two things, you see you'll crack it very quickly. And how do you play this game? Well, it's very simple. Or we've tried to make it as simple as can be. You need to log into www.kahoot.it, and there's a game pin in the chat box. Just add that game pin. It'll ask you probably for your name, something of that sort. Just put that in, and you're in a good place. What we do is, with every quiz, we have a few poll questions just so that you get comfortable with the interface. And in case there are Wi-Fi issues, internet connectivity issues, just hang in there. We pretty much sort it out as we go along. Yeah, we come to the end of the quiz, and there are 3 winners that we announce, and 3 winners walk away with the book of the week. And the book of the week this week is a bit of a departure from the earlier books that we've been giving. It's slightly lighter musical. It's Amit Chaudhuri's Finding the Raga. And it's his interpretation of learning all about Hindustani music. His journey really begins in Bombay and then takes on from there. All right, he's a novelist and he's written several books. I must admit, I haven't read Finding the Raga, but I always depend on the 3 of you who win to tell us a bit about it. This quiz is brought to you by India Spend, which is a data journalism organization. And they typically use government data or data which is out there to tell stories that are on issues that we don't really give enough importance to. It's health, it's education, it's gender rights, governance, climate change and environment, issues really that matter. But sometimes what happens is, if you don't really have data in it and you don't really have, a policy angle or enough of evidence, then it really becomes very vague and very opinionated, open to opinions. The idea of data journalism really is to tell people that you can and you must tell stories, but it has to be embedded very neatly in data and numbers. Okay, so with that, I'm now going to very quickly share my screen. I must remind you that immediately after this quiz, which is essentially 3 poll questions, we get into the 10 questions, true or false, multiple choice, and there's 1 puzzle question. Immediately after that, we will get into the Hindi quiz. So you don't go anywhere, but we will give you a new game pin, and then you get on with it. So Shreyan, the game pin is 935335. And yes, with that, I'm going to now share my screen and you'll be able to see your name on it. And as usual, we will first go through the poll questions and then get into the actual questions. So you do have a little bit of time, not too much, and then we get into the actual quiz. All right. So I think Dipankar's feeling kind of lucky again this week. Yeah, I think there's some plan of some hat trick or something there. Well, actually, when I was putting this quiz together, I have to say, this was one of those quizzes which I felt was, this is a lucky week. I think this one should be easy to crack. But anyway, I mean, you've been doing this week on week. I think you're going to find it much easier anyway. So I think with that, I'm now going to get into the quiz, and I don't want to waste too much time actually. I think maybe we get into the quiz, if that's all right. And if there's anything anyone wants to talk about, please put that in the chat box. And yeah, we'd love to hear what's happening with you, how things are. Maybe during the poll questions, you want to say a couple of things. Go ahead, put it in the chat box. No issues. All right. So good evening, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome to India Fact Quiz's Game of Facts. We do this and we love what we do. Every week we put together 10 questions that we feel are important data points for us to know about. And the more we know, the better informed citizens we become. And the better informed citizens we become, then the more involved we are with how we run things in our community, in our cities, in our towns, near our homes. And then we sort of engage in citizenship, which is really, I think, the hallmark of any democracy, right? So it's kind of a very large change that we want to make, but doing it at a very individual level. So we're very ambitious people, as you can tell. All right, so here we have it. This is 28th week of quizzing this year, and we have a few poll questions. I hope nothing too much that we're asking for. But here we have it, the first question coming up. Do you believe in setting goals and milestones in your personal or professional life? Like, no, I don't believe in setting goals. There's too much pressure. Or yes, very much. I like a disciplined life. Or, you know what, goals didn't mean anything after the pandemic. And maybe, yeah, I think this is a good idea. I want to set some goals and see what comes out of it. Okay, so 10 of us have said you want to set goals. It's a good idea. Yeah, it is a good idea, because then you kind of get a sense of, you know, how far you've come, right? And 11 of us have said, yes, very much. We're a very, you know, this IFQ community, this game of fact quizzers are a very unique, genuinely unique set of people. The values and your own ethics, and in general, you all are just very, very different people. And I say it in a nice way. And 4 of us have said, nope, it's just too much pressure. It's just too much. And 1 of us said, well, after the pandemic, what goal setting doesn't mean anything anymore, right? Okay, so we're keeping in with the same theme. And all right. Any book requests, anything pending, put that in, write to us at Connect at India Fact Quiz. What does your scorecard look like? If you have set some goals, you've met over 90% of your goals till date, or you're still in the process of, you know, meeting your goals, or you've actually had to change goals, you had to pivot, or you've met or missed half of your goals. So you got half of it and half of it you didn't really get. Okay, so you're still in the process of meeting your goals. Exactly, right? Because we still have a few months to go till the end of the year. I'm one of those people who really get so worked up towards the end of the year that I want to make the next year very productive, right? So I kind of, in my head, I have all these resolutions and I'm so petrified to even write it down, because if I don't meet it, what's going to happen? But I think I'm going to get a little more audacious with it. And it doesn't matter. It's work in progress. And probably I'll have a near-term, long-term, medium-term kind of goal setting. All right. As usual, we always give you some work to do, but tell us, what is your most important or precious goal? It could be personal, professional. It could be probably eating healthier. It could be anything, whatever. To save more money, is there a golden number that you feel is important? 0 credit card debt. Not buying more than 2 outfits in the year, something like that. What's that goal? We really, really want to know. We're very inquisitive people out here. So we just have about 5 seconds left. You can just write either a word or phrase, whatever the number count allows you. And here we have it. Oh, that's a secret. Okay, to clear UPSC, that's a very good goal. Speak English, I think very, very good one. Impacting lives positively, spreading positivity, money, yes. Losing weight, absolutely. To meet Karthik Aryan, why not? Win an IFQ, you definitely will. Your goal is to get to Google in San Francisco, and I wish you all the luck. And you know what? Live it, just manifest it, and you just do the right things, and you could just get there. Make money. Yes, I think it is very important to live happily, exercise, to be happy, to get your PhD. Absolutely. Money, money, money. Yes, I know it is important. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, you know, happiness or whatever. But yes, I mean, you know, these are priorities. A stable job before 25. I hear you. And I really, really wish that for you too. So very, very important and very nice goals. And getting a job, yes. Yeah, I hope it all comes true. And I hope you'll be sort of ticking that sheet and saying, I managed to get this and, you know, got to my goal much ahead of time. All right. So we've come to the end of the poll questions, and I hope you've got a hang of it, those of you who are new to this. And I'll get into the quiz now, and you'll get a sense of what the theme is. So if you could just pay a little attention to the responses, to the answers of the questions, I think the quiz will pretty much play out itself. Okay, that's the only hint I'm going to give you. And this week's quiz is all things sustainable development goals. And that was why a little bit of goal setting that we did initially. And I'm going to get into the first question. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development provides a blueprint for peace and prosperity adopted by all members of the International Monetary Fund. These are, of course, countries that are all members of the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, or the World Health Organization. We're talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. And what this question is asking is, which organization is it aligned to? And it is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are embedded or derived from the Millennial Development Goals. All right. So we'll see who's scored highest, because obviously you got it right. A lot of you, actually, most of you got it right. But you were just a little faster. So it's really Anuj and Vinod who got it right pretty much at the same time. Tom, Pushpa, and Rohit. Again, the scoreboard is very dynamic. The next question for double points. In total, there are X number of sustainable development goals. Is it 17, 27, 7, or 37? So it is 17. So in general, there are 167 targets, and there are 17 very specific sustainable development goals that all members of the United Nations have agreed to adhere to. And this is something that really is includes high-income countries, low-middle-income countries, middle-income countries. Everybody just has to sort of collectively look at all of these goals, because it is in the interest of the planet. All right. So very quickly, it's now Swati, Rohit, Priya, Tom, and Arya. And we'll get into the next question, double points for this one. The country with the highest score on the Sustainable Development Ranking Index in 2022 was Japan, the United States, Finland, or Denmark? So if there was any doubt between Finland and Denmark, very understandable, but you got it right. Finland is the #1 country that has scored the highest on the SDG Index. All right. So the next question and a quick look at the scoreboard: Rohit, Arya, Shetty, Priya, and Adya. Okay. True or false? And double points for this one. The top 10 countries on the SDG ranking are all European countries. Is this statement true or false? Okay, it is actually true. So right from number 1 to 10, the European countries have stolen the march in 2022. The 10th country is Estonia. All of them are in Europe. So clearly, they are doing something which is going in the right direction. Interestingly, the SDGs is, of course, talking about zero hunger. It's talking about health. It's talking about climate, institutions. It just goes ease of doing business. It covers the entire gamut. So it's extremely fascinating, really, how, and if you get a chance, and we will share the source, to actually just go through the executive summary, to just go through the report and understand why, if you really have to progress, all of these factors are so critical. Okay, so a quick look at the scoreboard. Rohit, Priya, Shetty, Tom, and Tanu, and we will get into the next true or false, and double points for this one as well. India's ranking on the SDG Index has seen progress since 2015. Is this statement true or false? So 17 of you got it right. It is false. In fact, our performance has dropped. And we'll kind of get a sense of what the ranking is as we go along, but some not very good news here. Clearly, COVID didn't really help in the process, but in general, we have slipped pretty badly to the 121st position on the ranking. So some not very good news for us, but then there's always room for improvement, right? So here we have it, the scoreboard now. It's Rohit, Priya, Shreyan, Sukla, and Tanu, and we'll get into the next true or false and double points for this one as well. After the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the world is starting to make progress on SDGs. So we know the India story. We're asking you about the world story, and we're saying it's starting to make progress on the SDGs. Is this statement true or false? So 8 of you got it right. In fact, for the second time, or rather second consecutive year, unfortunately, the entire score, as we would call it, has slipped. So the world actually is not doing very well on SDGs when you look at the entire ranking in total, and individually, a lot of countries, especially like India, have really slipped pretty badly in the ranking. And of course, the United Nations knows that, you know, we need more funding to achieve really the sustainable development goals. So this year, really, they're asking the IMF, all the governments, that we have to invest more if we have to, individual countries and collectively, the world has to meet the sustainable development goals. So it's Rohit, Shri, Priya, Dipankar, and Shreyan. A few more questions to go. Double points for this one. 2 countries that have progressed the most on SDGs since 2015. Is it Estonia and Ireland, Bangladesh and Cambodia, Thailand and Singapore, or United Kingdom and Germany? So 17 of you got it right. It is Bangladesh and Cambodia, who have been sort of the flag bearers of progressing really well on various parameters of sustainable development goals. So whether it is maternal mortality rate or infant mortality rate, or the role of public institutions, police, gender rights, etc., all of it collectively has an impact on the scoring, and Bangladesh and Cambodia have clearly done very well. So in fact, if you look at the world region, South Asia is one of the top leaders in terms of progressing ever since the SDG ranking began in 2015. So it's now Shri, Dipankar, Tanu, Sneha, and Rohit, and I'll get into the next question. True or false, this one. India lags behind Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bhutan, and Botswana on the SDG ranking index. Is the statement true or is it false? So the 32 of you that said true, yes, it is correct. India lags behind all its neighbors, barring, of course, Pakistan and Botswana as well. And nothing much has changed except Arya's on the scoreboard, along with Aniket, Rohit. Dipankar and Shri are sort of holding very tight to their positions. And we'll get into the second last question, double points for this one. This country has declined the most on the SDG index. Is it Venezuela, Pakistan, Burkina Faso, or Sri Lanka? Burkina Faso is a small country in Africa. Which one of these has declined the most in the SDG ranking? Venezuela is one of those very sad stories and cautionary tales that we should be probably talking more about, and 16 of you got that absolutely right. Okay, it's now Shri, Arya, Aniket, Tanu, and Navneet. There's a last question coming up, so wish all of you all the very best. This is a puzzle and double points for this one. We're asking you to rank the countries based on the SDG index in 2022. The countries are Cuba, Canada, Chile, and the United States of America. You do have some time to think about this one. And if there's one hint I'm going to give you, it's that the last country on this list remains as is. You just play around with the top three. I think I've divulged too much. This is superb because actually we've never had so many people get this right, but it is Chile, which comes before Canada, and Cuba comes before the United States of America. So some really nice surprises there, that you really can have smaller countries take charge. And of course, one can say that, oh, they're smaller and therefore, not as difficult, but it is equally complex. But clearly they are ahead just by one position of Canada. In terms of Chile is one position ahead of Canada, and Cuba is one position ahead of the United States of America. So we've come to the end of this quiz. I'm going to show you the scoreboard, and Meenal has her game pin ready. Hers is a very interesting quiz again. So stay on for that. And I'm going to take you to the podium. In the third position this week, we have Tanu. Congratulations, Tanu. In the second position, we have Aniket. And in the first position, we have Shri. So congratulations to the three of you, Sneha and Shreyan. You guys did pretty well too. Of course, we're going to have more of these quizzes, and we will be having a few SDG questions because September is the month of the Sustainable Development Goals on India Fact Quiz. And very quickly, I think we already have the game pin for the Hindi quiz coming up. It's 48290. But before that, don't forget to fill in the Google form. I am now very quickly going to just shut up and close my screen and wait. Oh, hi, Meenal. All right. So with this, I'm out of here. And thank you all for bearing with me and look forward to seeing you next week.
Hello, good evening, namaste. First of all, congratulations to our top three winners of the English quiz, Sri, Tanu, and Aniket. I think you played really well. And now you have another chance of winning. I mean, all of you have another chance of winning another game. This is going to be Game of Facts Hindi. ये हिंदी में खेला जाएगा. और जो questions हैं, that will be in Hindi, but I'll translate them as soon as possible. तो आप अगर आपको मुश्किल लगता है हिंदी समझना, it's not to worry, you don't have to worry, क्योंकि it's going to be very simple. Similarly, just the way you've played the English quiz, we're going to play the Hindi quiz. This is, and we have a very special book actually today, which has won a very prestigious award as well. तो थोड़ी देर में मैं आपको किताब के बारे में बताऊंगी. उससे पहले मैं अपनी स्क्रीन शेयर कर लेती हूँ ताकि you can enter the game pin और जल्द से जल्द आप क्विज में हिस्सा ले सकते हैं. Okay, welcome to all of you. So before we begin with the quiz, जो आज की किताब है, ये इस किताब का नाम है प्रमेय और ये लिखी है भगवंत अनमोल ने. भगवंत अनमोल की ये किताब है. And this book received इस किताब को इस साल का 2022 का साहित्य अकादमी पुरस्कार मिला था. So it's a really special book and I hope that the three of you who win it enjoy it a lot. थोड़ी interesting जो इसका plot है वो काफी interesting है क्योंकि इस book में science और religion और philosophy का amalgamation है. It's a story about a young boy, a young man who is raised in a family जहाँ पर religion को काफी बढ़ावा दिया जाता है, जहाँ पर religion बहुत important है, but he's also studying science, so he has these conflicting thoughts कि क्योंकि science में भगवान नहीं है और उनके जो उसकी family है उसके they have taught him since childhood कि God is everything in the universe, it's all by God. तो इस प्लॉट के ऊपर ये किताब बेस्ड है एंड there's a point in the novel when he falls in love with a girl who is from another religion, किसी और religion को धर्म को belong करती है, तो उनकी जो difficulties है वो और बढ़ जाती हैं और ऐसा ही कुछ होता है इस किताब में जिसकी वजह से जो उसका way of thinking है, जो नजरिया है वो पूरा बदल जाता है. So that's what you're going to read. You're going to read the entire understanding and concept of God, universe of God. And that will be with the help of logic, science, technology, जो भी इस किताब में लिखा गया है. And that is what three of you will win. So I can see all of you here now. Welcome to Game of Facts Hindi. तो हम quiz start करते हैं और कोई poll questions नहीं है. Let me just remind you. तो आप जल्द से जल्द quiz को शुरू कर पाएंगे. Ananya is asking the name of the book. It's Pramey by Bhagwant Anmol. And three of you will win it. So let's just begin. आज का हमारा पहला question. I just wanted to tell you all that it's really amazing to see you week on week joining us for Game of Facts. And मेरे questions SDGs related नहीं है, थोड़ा सा different है. It's because this is National Nutrition Week going on, तो कुछ questions उसके ऊपर हैं. So let's begin. And here's our first question. Double points से start करेंगे हम. अधिक वजन वाले 5 वर्ष से कम आयु के बच्चों का प्रतिशत. Percentage of children under 5 years of age who are underweight. Sorry, who are overweight. So is it 23%, 3%, 13%, or 43%? We're talking about the percentage of children who are overweight, 5 years and above. Sorry, कम 5 साल से कम उम्र के बच्चों में जो overweight हैं. Okay, so 5 of you got this correct. It's 3%. जो recent NFHS data है, उसके according, the percentage of children who under 5 years of age who are stunted, which means they're short for their age, it's about 36%. Children who are wasted, which is around, which means that they're thin for their height, it is about 19%. Or जो underweight है, that means they're thin for their age, that is about 32%. और जो overweight है, which was asked in this question, it's about 3%. मतलब कि अपनी height से heavy है वो. और इस question के बाद we have a scoreboard here. And we have Kishore, Pushpa, Domi, Shantanu, and Ananya, who have taken the lead on the scoreboard after the first question. चलते हैं हमारे अगले question की तरफ. बिना स्कूली शिक्षा वाली माताओं से पैदा हुए बच्चों के कुपोषित होने की सबसे ज्यादा संभावना है. Children born to mothers with no schooling are most likely to be undernourished. क्या आपके हिसाब से ये सही है या गलत? $28 of you, you gave the correct answer. ये बिल्कुल सही है. Most mothers who have not had any schooling या जिनके जो बच्चे हैं वो lowest wealth quintile में belong करते हैं, they are उनके malnourished यानी कि कुपोषित होने की सबसे ज्यादा संभावना होती है. And with this, we have a scoreboard once again. Same names, but some shift there. So we have Pushpa now in the lead. Then we have Shantanu, Ananya, Kishore, and Domi. I think Domi was in the second place, but now we have Domi on the fifth position. So now we move on to our next question. Double points मिलेंगे इसके लिए. 6 महीने से कम उम्र के बच्चों का प्रतिशत जो विशेष रूप से स्तनपान कर रहे हैं. Percentage of children under 6 months who are exclusively breastfed. Is it 4%, 64%, 84%, or 24%? पंद्रह लोगों ने इसका बिल्कुल सही उत्तर दिया है. जो करेक्ट परसेंटेज है that is 64%. So 64% of the children who are under 6 months, they are exclusively breastfed. And with this, we go on to our scoreboard once again. Some new names on the scoreboard. Now we have Pushpa and Shantanu, who has 3 correct answers in a row. Then we have Bharat, Naisi, and Sharwani. It's good to see you, Sharwani. Hi. चलते हैं हमारे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की तरफ. एंड दिस वंस अ रैंकिंग क्वेश्चन, पजल क्वेश्चन है ये, तो डबल पॉइंट्स ध्यान से दीजिएगा इसका आंसर. नारियल उत्पादन के आधार पर इन देशों को उच्च से निम्न में रैंक करें. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कोकोनट प्रोडक्शन. तो आपको you rank these countries from high to low on the basis of coconut production, and your options are Sri Lanka, Bharat, Philippines, and Indonesia. It was World Coconut Day yesterday, 2nd September. Last 10 seconds. Almost all answers are here, but just one or two who are still waiting. Okay, wow, 2 of you got this correct. पिछले puzzle question में I was actually shocked to see 12 of you giving the correct answer, which was really nice. But this is not bad. I mean, 2 of you still getting it correct. So we have the correct order in front of us. सबसे ज्यादा जो coconut production में है, सबसे ऊपर जो है, that is our country, India, at about 20,000, approximately 20,000 million coconuts. Then we have the Philippines at about 14,490 million coconuts. Then Indonesia at about 13,900, approximately 14,000. Then Sri Lanka, from all of these, Sri Lanka is at the lowest, about 2,794 million coconuts. So with this, let's see who got our puzzle right. Okay, this Shri got it right, and I'm assuming maybe Pushpa too. So we have Pushpa, Shri, Shantanu, Bharat, and Naisi. चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ. नारियल का उच्चतम उत्पादन इस राज्य या केंद्र शासित प्रदेश में हुआ. Highest production of coconut was in this state. आपके ऑप्शंस हैं आंध्र प्रदेश, केरला, कर्नाटका और तमिलनाडु. Two of you went with Kerala. Actually, while I was testing this question myself, I saw that people actually thought कि Kerala ही सबसे पहले होगा या तमिलनाडु पहले होगा, but it's Karnataka, and Karnataka is on the top here. And if you talk about the percentage share of the total coconut produced, it is about 30%. और ये सबसे latest data है, which is about 2021-2022 data. And चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ, which is again a ranking question. थोड़ा similar है इससे, so I'll give more details about the others in the next question. But before that, we have our scoreboard. We have Pushpa, Bharat, Sharwani's back. We have Swati on the scoreboard now, and Sri. And Amrita is the highest number with this question. चलते हैं हमारे next question की तरफ. Another puzzle, hopefully an easy one. डबल पॉइंट्स मिलेंगे आपको इसके. नारियल उत्पादन के आधार पर इन राज्यों और केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों को उच्च से निम्न में रैंक करें. रैंक दीज स्टेट्स और यूटीज फ्रॉम हाई टू लो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कोकोनट प्रोडक्शन. तो इसमें आपके ऑप्शंस हैं पश्चिम बंगाल यानी कि वेस्ट बंगाल, आंध्र प्रदेश, तमिलनाडु एंड केरल. सो वी ऑब्वियसली नाउ वी नो दैट कर्नाटका इज ऑन द टॉप. बाकी के जो स्टेट्स हैं आपको उनको रैंक करना है, एंड यू हैव योर ऑप्शंस इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू. Last 10 seconds left. Okay, I'm excited for the results actually. So here we go. Wow, 12 of you. I'm glad most of you got this one correct. The correct order is Tamil Nadu, then Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Pashchim Bengal, which is West Bengal. पिछले क्वेश्चन में हमने देखा most of you answered Kerala, which is actually on the third position after Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, then we have Kerala. So Tamil Nadu में the percentage share is about 27.4%, and Kerala का percentage share is 24%. Andhra Pradesh at about 8% and West Bengal at 2%. So this is a very interesting result, and we go on to our scoreboard to see what happened here. So with Pushpa, Sharwani, Sri, Swati and Anuj, चलते हैं हमारे next question की तरफ. भारतीय जेलों में बंद 4 में से 3 कैदी मुकदमे की प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं. 3 in 4 of all prisoners in Indian jails are awaiting trial. Is this true or false? क्या ये आपके हिसाब से सही है या गलत? 3 in 4 of all prisoners in India jails are awaiting a trial. ये सही है, and 27 of you got this correct. At present, India has about 3,71,848 prisoners in pre-trial detention. मतलब कि उनका ट्रायल नहीं हुआ है लेकिन उनको जेल में बंद रखा गया है, and this is called as under trials. And 76%, which is about 3 in 4 of all prisoners in Indian jails, are actually awaiting trials. और ये अगर हम ग्लोबल एवरेज से कंपेयर करें, सो इट इज द डिफरेंस इज क्वाइट टू मच. जो ग्लोबल एवरेज है इट इज अबाउट 34% और हम हमारा देश 76% पर है. सो मूविंग ऑन टू आवर स्कोरबोर्ड. Oops, Pushpa slipped on the scoreboard. Now we have Sharwani, Pushpa, Swati, Anuj and Sri. चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ. विचाराधीन यानी कि अंडर ट्रायल कैदियों के वैश्विक अनुपात यानी कि ग्लोबल प्रोपोर्शन में भारत किस रैंक पर है? इंडिया रैंक्स डैश इन ग्लोबल प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ जेल इनमेट्स हु आर अंडर ट्रायल्स. इज दिस 15th, 6th, 2nd और 10th? भारत का रैंक बताना है हमें. सभी देशों में से हम किस रैंक पर हैं for number of prisoners who are awaiting a trial, who are in detention but awaiting a trial. Just 5 of you got this correct. हम 6th position पर हैं. 17, most of you went with 15 as the correct rank. We're quite above that. In fact, if you look at only the Commonwealth countries, तो हम 2nd position पर आते हैं, just right after Bangladesh. This is really a very huge piece of data. And with this, we have our scoreboard once again. Is there no shift on this? Okay. I'm assuming the ones who give the correct answer are trying to come up on the scoreboard. Maybe next question is for you. तो चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ. 8 में से एक विचाराधीन कैदी यानी कि अंडर ट्रायल प्रिजनर 2 से 5 साल से जेल में है. 1 in 8 under trial prisoners has been in jail for 2 to 5 years. क्या आपके हिसाब से ये सही है या गलत? This is correct. 1 in 8 under trial prisoners जो under trial हैं यानी कि जो jail they've been in jail because they're awaiting a trial, and they've been in jail for either 2 to 5 years. 2 या 5 साल से बीच उतने ड्यूरेशन से वो जेल के अंदर है. और yeah, okay, now we have a slight shift. Same names though, so we'll go on to our next question. Which happens to be the last question, और I think ये double points के लिए होगा, तो please सोच समझकर जल्द से जल्द आंसर दीजिएगा. And moving on, see double points. 2020 के कोविड लॉकडाउन के कारण दिसंबर 2020 तक की अवधि में विचाराधीन कैदियों की संख्या में 2% की वृद्धि हुई. Due to COVID-19 lockdown of 2020, there was a 2% increase in the number of under trials in the period until December 2020. क्या ये सही है या गलत? हम इस स्टेटमेंट में कह रहे हैं कि सिर्फ 2% की वृद्धि हुई है, यानी कि जो अंडर ट्रायल prisoners हैं they've increased by 2%. And 11 of you got this correct. ये गलत है. The increase is not just by 2% but by 12%, which is a very strong, which is a very huge increase. Or in fact, if you compare it to the average increase every year, previous 4 years में जो average increase हुआ था, that was just about 4%. और यही इतने duration में जो लॉकडाउन का ड्यूरेशन था उसकी वजह से 12% की ये इंक्रीज हुआ है. एंड दिस इज ड्यू टू द फैक्ट कि जो इंडियन कोर्ट्स हैं दे वर वर्चुअल, दे वेंट वर्चुअल, एंड कोविड-19 की वजह से और भी जो परेशानियां आई हैं उसकी वजह से ये हुआ है. सो विद दिस लेट्स सी आवर पोडियम फॉर टुडे. आवर विनर्स ऑफ हिंदी गेम ऑफ फैक्ट्स who win an extraordinary group. Okay, so Sharwani is at the 3rd position. Then we have Sri, and आज के quiz के विजेता हैं, the winner of the quiz, Swati. Oh, that's triple S. That's great. And Padmaja and Anuj are the runners-up. I didn't see Padmaja on the scoreboard throughout, and you were the runner-up. That's great. Congratulations to all three of you. आप अपना prize claim कर सकते हैं. You get to read this beautiful book by Bhagwant Anmol. You can claim your prize within 24 hours, and we'll dispatch it as soon as possible. और आप सबको आज यहाँ देखकर बहुत बहुत खुशी हुई. Thank you so much for joining us. हम hope करते हैं that we see you next week as well, and you have a lovely weekend ahead. Thank you so much and take care.